Morning guys, bit of a surprise one. This one's specially for Roy. Big Cars and myself have disappeared off somewhere today while Mrs H is at work, and I think this one may be of interest to Roy, you never know. But we're at Tangmere Air Museum, which is probably about 20 miles from Worthing on the way to Chichester. And what we have here is a Royal Navy Sea Vixen, which is like 1960s, I think they were. I'll have a look on the plaque and see what it says. Got the rocket pods, folding wings, because it used to go on aircraft carriers, so it didn't take up as much space. And it had twin tails, which is very unusual, and the cockpit was actually offset to one side, and if you see that bubble on this side, that's where the navigator sat, which is really strange location. And then we have next to it a Sea Harrier, Falklands era Sea Harrier, the ones that went down and on Hermes and Ark Royal, and we used to liberate the Falklands from the Argentinians. It's got a Sidewinder missile. A couple of guys working on it. Everyone who seems to work here seems to be of a similar age to me. Oh, there is a young lady. Another view of the Sea Vixen with its wings folded. A couple of guys working on the Sea Harrier.
Alright, don't go to the other side.
And next to it, we've got a Wessex helicopter. Once again, Falklands era transport helicopter. So looks like they're repairing the glazing. It's a bit overcast today. You can see from the weather it's not the brightest of days. So let's have a look, see what it says about the Wessex.
What about now that you're 6 o'clock, mate? No? 12 o'clock?
And then we've got a GR3 ground attack Harrier. They were also used in the Falklands, but mostly used in Germany during the Cold War. But they did take some down to the Falklands. And once again, it's got a Sidewinder missile for self-defense against Argentinian Mirages. And then we've got the big bugger. We've got the Phantom with a Sparrow missile next to it, which is a lot bigger than the Sidewinder missiles that you can see under the Harrier. And we've actually got somebody inside the Harrier, which seems to be missing its engine. But yeah, Phantom, mainstay of the British Royal Air Force for a long time. Also used by American Air Force, American Navy, American Marines, Germany, Turkey, Greece, Israel, Iran had them at one stage. They were used in the Iran-Iraq War, also used in the Arab-Israeli wars. More or less any conflict from Vietnam onwards, you're going to have found a Phantom. Another view, man inside the Harrier, a sight you don't normally see. Well, not too long. It's a relatively small museum, a couple of hangars. But Tangmere Aerodrome was very famous in the Second World War, a major fighter base on the south coast. Douglas Bader was based here at one time. They also used to fly resistance fighters over to France in little Lysander aircraft and drop off spies and the such like. So interesting. Most of the airport now has been sold off, if you look over here, for new housing, so it's only a very small part that still remains in any way, shape like it was back in the day. And then you can see inside the hangars there a couple more exhibits, which hopefully we will see when we go inside. big one, the big silver one, is a English Electric Lightning, which is absolutely massive when you get up close to it. You can see the workshop. And then here we've got a Daimler Ferret armoured car. Used to be used for airfield defence and that kind of stuff by the RAF regiment. This one was at some point armed with a Vigilant missile. And then we've got a Vampire, very early 1950s trainer, two-seater side by side. And you can see they've taken an engine out here, very early engines, very early jet engines, bulky, noisy, not very fuel efficient. They're on about refurbishing it. Have a view of the thing. Over here would have been where these fields are, these would have been other fields or landing strips and such like. Still agricultural land now, but you can see greenhouses in the distance. And you can see some new housing over there, so I'd imagine in time this will all become new housing as well. Now, Tangmere Military Aviation Museum. I've got quite a good website, so if it's something you're interested in, go on their website, have a look. Right, we're going to make our way inside. I think the last time I came here, it was about £4 to get in. This one here, this notice says what squadrons were based at Tangmere during the Second World War, which is interesting now. Be worth looking up some of those. So we'll have a little walk. So everyone's busy, but everyone other than the one young lady with a ponytail is my age or older. So you kind of wonder what's going to happen to our heritage with the younger generation, because I'm not sure they're going to maintain it. Got all the flags of the various nations. Good. It's going a bit wobbly. Right, so we're going to go in and then I'll switch on again. Right, we're now inside. Got a little supply of exhibits.
Okay, 60 plus 5, yes, please, yeah. 18 pounds, thank you very much.
We'll wander around. Well, have a look at the corridors first. There's the toilets, just in case we need them, and the baby changing facilities. Lots of leaflets, wartime memorabilia. Got a little cafe as well, which is good. I could smell buns. It's a bit, not the greatest lighting in here, but Battle of France, Tangmere and the Battle of France. Telling the story of the early years of the war. Oh. The bell they used to ring to scramble the pilots to take off. A life preserver. Somebody wore when they got out of their aircraft in 1940. Flight attendant's jacket and shoes. The stains are iodine, so he obviously got wounded. James Brindley. Apparently a famous pilot who was based here. shows Tangmere in relation to the continent. Oh, original uniforms. That must be the chaplain, I think. Oh, they're in the office. Fleet Air on participation in the Battle of Britain. Rather dramatic picture. What have we got here? Oh my god. It's one of these places you can literally spend a day just wandering around. A lot more exhibits. Oh, some weapons from the aircraft, machine guns, flare pistols. Part of a plane shot down in the Battle of Britain and retrieved. They like to keep their souvenirs of shot down aircraft. Another one. Oh. More uniform. Oh, Luftwaffe. Got some German uniforms. Some engine parts. Propeller. It's like the ultimate man cave. Oh, one of those dinghies. The case got shot down in the English Channel. Got more guns. German Junkers engine. Big wartime searchlight. Oh. Cameras from photo reconnaissance aircraft. Remnants of, obviously, looks like a Hurricane that they haven't been able to completely rebuild. Now, a pigeon with a camera. That's what Charlie's needed. If Charlie had a camera, we'd know where he is now, wouldn't we? I think pigeon with a camera is definitely going to become like the thumbnail. Aye aye. Detention room. There is certainly a lot of original material and equipment. Mrs. H, inside a glass case. That'd be the best place for her. Oh.
100 plus enemy aircraft from Cherbourg. Early indications are
It is a rabbit warren, a maze. Most people didn't realise that Hurricanes and that were mostly wood. You know, so a bullet hit that, it didn't offer any resistance whatsoever. Massive great Rolls-Royce engine. It's a Griffin, which is very late war engine. The very late Spitfires, like this one here, had the Griffin engine. Ones at the Battle of Britain didn't have it. What we got over here? Oh, the Douglas Bader section. This is going to remind me of my legless friend. Well, I'm not sure he'd actually fit into a fighter aircraft.
In March 1941, the Wing Commander to command the Tangmere wing of 3 Spitfire squadrons. The wing initially flew fighter sweeps over northern France, but from May onwards supported surface operations, a few bombers protected by a large number of fighters. The aim was to encourage the
Oh, some inert bombs. Gotta have some inert bombs. What have we got down here? So, oh. soldier in uniform. Oh, flying bombs.
I want you to just, once I release the simulator, we're gonna just taxi down the runway. We're not gonna take off, we're just gonna taxi down the runway. I want you to use the steering with your feet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now the brake is just this hand.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Collection of flying helmets. Ties, regimental ties by the look of it. Your tie speaks for you. I wonder if they actually flew wearing ties. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Oh, what we got here? Mark IV. I think my one is actually in better condition. Yes, I think mine is in better condition than that one. Some revolvers. Right, we're going to go into next source. Right, this part tells the story of landing secret agents in France, an occupied territory by Lysander aircraft, as shown in the film Allied, starring Brad Pitt. Got to get a film reference in. It appears they not only dropped them off, but they landed and picked them up as well. Lots of free French memorabilia. Very nice, sharp, staggy sticks. Oh, Sten gun. Now that is, I'm looking at it, it's a Mark II with a silencer. My one's a Mark V, which was used at Arnhem, as in the film A Bridge Too Far. And what we got here, we got a Luger, artillery Luger. You can tell by the length of the barrel. Yeah. There is literally so much information here.
Landing was made this morning on the coast of France by troops of the Allied Expeditionary Force. This landing is part of the
It's not particularly well lit, that's what I will say. But, maybe that's to preserve the paper material so it doesn't fade. And we've got some World War I stuff, including gun camera, which looks very much like a Lewis gun. So Tangmere was obviously in use during World War I as well. Lots of propellers and bombs. World War I flying outfits. Propeller. Video showing airfields of the First World War in France, I would imagine. Once we've done this bit, we're going in and actually look at the airplanes and that kind of stuff. But there literally is so much to look at. Alright, let's make our way. Oh, dam busters. Not sure what the connection with just dam busters, some connection there, very probably tenuous. But certainly not aware of any connection with it. Got a shop.
We must have met him about 4 times. And Chichester in the barrel. And Paul Constable. I had Paul Constable.
Right, let's go in the main hall. Now, the first aircraft we can see is a Lysander that's used to land spies. As I say, if you watch Allied with Brad Pitt, which is not a bad film, you'll see them being landed in France by a Lysander. Very short takeoff and landing. Very high wing. The thing underneath isn't a bomb, it's a container where they could load equipment that the resistance fighters and secret agents needed. You see the man would have to climb in the side, and I think there was room, if I remember, they got a pilot and probably room for two passengers. Oh, we've got a Sten. That is, I would say, a replica. It's too good condition to be a real one. And the film they're playing about spies is School for Danger. Oh, there's a woman in the back of that airplane already. Now here we got a Supermarine Swift, which I think was like late 50s, early 60s, with some very early air-to-air missiles and a selection of ejector seats. It shows just how basic they are, and a selection of wooden propellers. Really well. I used to love these colours they used to paint the RAF jets in. Mostly Cold War, but immaculately turned out. Now the red one is a Hawker Hunter, and it's painted red to represent a Hawker Hunter that back in the 1950s, I believe, was the world speed record holder. Off the coast of Worthing, Bognor and Chichester, they had a circuit, and it had to fly around the circuit as quickly as it possibly could, and for a brief period of time, probably about a year, it actually held the aircraft speed record. I think the Americans then came along with something faster, but we did hold it for a while. And then there's the cockpit of a Hunter, again in RAF colours, and an ejection seat. Let's just have a look, see what it says. 1953 world speed record. So that was when Britain had the fastest aircraft in the world. And then we've got this one, Supermarine Swift. And here we have the canopy section of a Canberra. Quite often when they can't preserve a whole aircraft because it's too badly damaged, they cut off the cockpit and just preserve the cockpit. So as I say, this one is a Canberra, which was a medium bomber from the 50s and 60s right through to the 70s. The Americans, strangely, even built their own version of it, rather than actually go out and design something. They just said, right, British have got a good aircraft, we'll copy the design, call it something else, and produce it for ourselves. And they used it in Vietnam amongst other places. I don't think we can go in it, but you can have a look up inside to see how cramped it was. Not much space. Think again, 2 people, pilot up front, navigator behind. But the Hunter, very resplendent in red. Hunter, unfortunately, was the airplane, or probably about 8 or 9 years ago, that crashed at the Shoreham Air Show, killing 11 people. The pilot, who was a real wally, came in too fast and too low, couldn't pull up, and crashed onto the A27 dual carriageway and basically incinerated about 11 people in their cars. And ridiculously, he got away with it, which is ridiculous. He claimed he had no memory of what happened, even though he ejected, and therefore all the evidence on the aeroplane was cremated as well. So we've got a Supermarine Spitfire replica, not an actual one, but a replica. This would appear to be an early one. Got a bit of a cockpit there as well. It's kind of duck-egg blue or whatever. Hunter. And you got the Meteor. Now the Meteor was the first operational British jet. Saw some service at the end of the Second World War, most notably intercepting V1 rockets. It was fast enough to catch up with them and shoot them down with its cannon. Up to that time, Spitfires really struggled to catch up with the V1s. And the only way they really could do it was in a dive. They'd get above the V1 and then dive down and hopefully get enough speed to catch up with it. But the Meteor, with its twin jet engines, was able to go as fast as the V1 bomber, intercept it, and then shoot it down. So another view of the Spitfire. There's a great deal to see. Hurricane replica. Once again, if you ever watch any proper films about the Second World War, especially the Battle of Britain, is the Hurricane that's doing all the fighting. There were always probably 3 times as many Hurricanes in the battle as there were Spitfires. But the Spitfires were flown by Douglas Bader and such like, and therefore got all the publicity. But there was never enough Spitfires, so it always fell to the Hurricane to actually bear the burden. Let's have a look. Where do we go from here? I'm lost now. It's been a while, so we'll go and have a look, see what we can see. There's another hall over there. It's a bit of a rabbit's warren, this place, I will say. It's not really made easy to find your way around. Actually, you know it's not made easy to find your way around, because when I came in and I paid, they gave me a map. It was like, I'm going to need a map to look around this building. So there's a Rolls-Royce Avon engine from the Meteor. Massive, great big thing. Some more engines. Then we'll go through into this hall, and we've got another Hunter. This one looks to be, yeah, it's a Hunter with the big 30mm Aiden cannons, and they used to load the ammunition in these big boxes basically, rather than load individual rounds. They'd load the cartridge and then load the cartridge onto the aircraft. So it's got fuel tanks on, you've got rocket pods. Oh no, this one's actually a Gatling gun from a Phantom. Massive, great. 6,000 rounds a minute. Selection of different shells from different sized guns. Really going to want to get hit by any of those. Hunter was used out in Aden, which is quite topical because Aden is now where the Houthis are trying to sink all the ships. It was called Aden then it became, I believe, Yemen, and now it's Houthi land, or whatever you like to refer to it as. And we've got some replicas or relics from Argentinian conflict, the Falklands. Bit of an aircraft. That's a tail fin from an Eramachi MB399A, which was actually a 2-seat trainer. Some emblems. So this hangar has basically got Hunter, and it's got what you can see in the background in silver, the massive lightning. And the first time I ever saw a lightning in person, I was gobsmacked as a kid at how big it was. You know, most planes you need a ladder to climb into, but this thing is like, you know, need scaffolding to get into. You see how the guns and that fit into the cartridge. Now I think the last time I looked about 5'10", 5'11", and I can walk straight under that wing, it's so high. Got an example of the radar. Massive, great early air-to-air missile.
Which then became known as F2As. Most RAF pilots agreed the F2A was the best of the breed, as it had the aerodynamic refinements of the F6, but it was lighter and retained the nose-mounted guns.
They were mainly used to intercept Russian bombers and such like.
F2A retained the earlier fire-strike missiles, which were more limited operationally, and which tended to be more reliable than the red tops. Export versions for Kuwait and Saudi Arabia were also produced. The Saudis would keep the 9-9s to counter raids by Egyptian Air Force MiGs.
Look at the town, it goes right up to the roof of this hangar, which is a long way up.
The Saudi government signed contracts for the urgent delivery of 6 reconditioned RAF landings. The Royal Saudi Air Force received 5 F2s and
It's got this very unusual nose cone that always reminds me of Soviet aircraft. If you look at like the MiG-21s, 17s, 19s, MiG-15s, they all have that conical nose cone. And I think the Lightning was the only British aircraft that did. Recollection.
the Saudi F-53 saw brief action in December 1969 with several ground attack sorties flown from armies
Hunter again, the lovely aircraft.
reporting a Yemen
As I say, I have seen that fly. I saw it fly prior to the crash at Shoreham. But as aircraft now, they're getting pretty old. You get what's called fatigue sets in. And some of the aircraft that fly now, you've basically got to rebuild them completely.
began to replace the Saudi Lightnings, leaving the Second Squadron as the last Saudi
Mhm.
Lightning operator.
It's impressive, I must admit, the Lightning.
In the UK, Lightnings maintained a quick reaction alert capability to meet the Soviet threat 24 hours a day throughout the year. The most common Russian form of interceptor was the Tupolev T-100 Lightning and airborne surveillance missions. During these missions, the artillery typically replaced new
Round the back. The back of the Hunter. The jet pipe. Now we're around the back of the Meteor. Some giant models hanging. What's this one say? Let's see what. It's always interesting to read what it says on the boards. Oh, it was a 1945 Word ASB record with the Meteor. It's a small museum, but as I say, it's got interesting stuff, primarily British and 50s and 60s, that kind of era. So a little short, quick visit gets me out of the house. Hopefully gives you something interesting to watch. A small engine. Rolls-Royce Gnome. The Observer Corps, Ronald, yeah. My grandfather was in the Observer Corps at Shoreham Harbour during the Second World War. He used to work during the day as an engineer, and then he spent most of the night observing aircraft flying over and noting their details. Not sure when he actually slept, but he must have slept somewhere. I actually came before the schools broke up because Otherwise it just gets packed with kids. Mm. Right, gonna call it a day. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Give you something to watch. Take care. One quick last view of the outside, showing the Phantom, Harrier GR3, the Wessex, the Sea Harrier, and the Venom. Hopefully the weather will improve. If I get a chance, I may one day go over to Shoreham Airport, which is one of the oldest airports in the country, and show you around there. It's still an operational airport, mainly executive jets, light commercials, helicopters. Once again, house building is encroaching on it, so it's getting smaller and smaller, and how many years it can still continue to function is anyone's guess. But, yeah, it's an interesting place to visit.